and welcome to the Daily Spell. This is Reverend Mary Hall, and it is Tarot Thursday. I apologize for the late start. We are experiencing some technical difficulties tonight. So, how is everyone doing this evening? Thank you for joining me tonight, and I am ready to take your questions in the chat. Hopefully, my guest, Caredware Siskadal, will be joining me shortly, but until he's able to, like I said, we are experiencing some technical difficulties. I will be taking questions. Good evening, Mary. Hope you are doing well tonight. Thank you for joining me. And while we are waiting on some questions, I will just mention I got a message from someone today asking me, did I feel confident as a reader the first time I ever did it professionally, which I will interpret as the first time I ever read for someone who was not a friend or a family member, and no, I was quaking in my boots. Absolutely quaking. And so, not confident in the least. Hey, Cherry, welcome. Welcome, 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 everyone. And looks like Caredware is still trying to join us, and we are still having some technical issues here. But no, Nay, thanks for joining. I was quaking in my boots. Fortunately, they were under the table, so you couldn't see them. And the only way to develop confidence as a reader is to go do it. Pure and simple. Just do it. One thing I suggest, you could try reading at festivals. You can even get practiced, reading for friends of friends. Offering your services perhaps inexpensively to begin with. The person I was speaking with today, I suggested you might since festival season is coming up, looking for local festivals where you could get a booth for a day and do readings as a way to get comfortable with it and build up some clientele. But the only way to get good at reading tarot or any other form of divination, just like the only way to become skilled at anything else, is simply to go do it. So, having said that, does anyone want to post a question for me? Or I can sit here and natter on and talk about tarot. And Cherry says, the last reading I did, the friend complained about it because I did a video for her. Okay. Well, as long as she knew you were doing the video, I don't know what there is to complain about it. I have had people complain about doing video tarot readings or phone tarot readings at first. Excuse me. I just dropped a card. I'll be right back, folks. And I'm back, and the card that just decided to jump out for us is the Five of Lamps. And this speaks about someone who is preparing to go out on a spiritual journey. Somebody who is packing a bag and they're getting ready to go off into the woods and do a vision quest. So, if this has meaning for someone watching, this was your card. Cherry says, I still don't know what the problem it was either, so I told her the next time she will be charged $75. I love it. Absolutely love it. So does anyone have a question for me tonight? And Caredware is restarting his computer, hoping that's going to allow him to join us with his camera on. But if you have a question, please feel free to go ahead and post it. One of my favorite tarot stories is I was reading for a fundraiser for Nashville Pagan Pride Day, and we had these long tables set up with several of us reading at them. And a woman came up and gave me her ticket and asked her question. And she didn't like the answer I gave her. And she just said, Mary, I'm sorry. That's not the answer I want. That's just not what I want to hear. And I'm like, well, this is what the cards are saying. This is what Spirit is saying. So she went and bought another ticket and sat down next to me. And I finished up the reading I was on, and the crowd was kind of thinning out at this point. And I really was doing my very best not to snoop, but I couldn't help but notice that the woman reading next to me pulled a whole lot of the same cards I did and was getting basically the same answer. And Cherry asked, do you ever use a question list for customers? For the ones that don't know their own question. I've never tried a question list. That's an interesting idea, Cherry. I usually ask people if they have a specific question in mind or if they have just a general what's going on for me. And Caredware is trying to join us. And this is still not working. Looks like it is just going to be me tonight, folks. I am so sorry. Do I see prosperity in Renee's future? All right. Let's see here. Hi, Misty. Sheila, I see your question. Let me do a reading for Renee, and then I will get to you. Okay, So the first card I have for Renee is Magic. And you can see this is a pure white card. So what this is saying is you have the ability to create what you want. Next, I've got the Four of Pentacles. Pentacles being around, of course, our material possessions, including our finances. And this does represent someone who has money to share if they so choose to do so. And finally, I have the Ten of Swords. And the 10 is indicating usually an end of a cycle and a time to regroup, think about things. And swords are relating to air, the realm of intelligence. So, yes, there is prosperity in your future if you manifest it for yourself. You have the ability to manifest it, Renee, and you also need to consider what you want to be manifesting for yourself at this time, because you are closing out one cycle in your life and starting another one. So I hope you find that helpful. And Sheila wants to know if she will get through her depression. So just a moment, please. Let me get my cards shuffled here. I'm glad it's helpful. All right, let's see what I've got for you here, Sheila. All right. So first of all, we've got the Tower. So you can expect a major shift. It's going to be earth shaking. There will be a lot of changes coming. And you see a woman bursting out of the tower in this figure. Hi, Matthew. The next thing we have is time. And the thing about the cycles of time is that nothing is permanent. And this really goes with the Tower card. Whatever you are experiencing now is temporary. So there is change coming, and your current state is temporary. And finally, we have the Ten of Cups, which is sometimes called the Happy Family card. And this indicates a very happy situation. So yes, good things are coming for you. So I hope you find that helpful. And Cherry wants to know, how can I improve my relationship with my child? Just a moment, please. Mm. All right. So the first card I've got for you, Cherry, is the Ace of Wands. And so the wands are around the fiery passions, relating to South, fire. You can see all the red here. And it's generally indicating the start of something. So I'm going to take it as you may need to take a totally fresh approach. Next, we have the Princess of Cups. And so here we've got an emotional situation that has been stagnant. And finally, we've got the Four of Cups, which is an emotional situation which is good, but sometimes we don't recognize what we have. Cherry says that card looks like her son. So I'm going to say that looking at these three cards together, I think you need to take a fresh approach to your relationship with your child. And I don't know what the past is, but look for a different way to connect. And especially if your child is now a young adult, as hard as it is for us moms sometimes, we cannot see them as our little ones anymore. We have to connect to them as adults. And that can be a hard one for us when our babies grow up on us. But you do need to find a different way to connect with your child. So I hope that helps you. All right. And Matthew wants to know if he's missed anything in his shadow work. Well, yeah, Matthew, our shadow work is never done. That is the essence of shadow work. As soon as you've dealt with one piece of it, another something else pops out. But let's see what the cards say for you. All right. And Matthew says, more so this particular meditation I just did. So our first card is the Ace of Lamps. And lamps is the suit of spirituality in this deck. So this indicates the beginning of a spiritual quest. Next, we've got the Three of Wands, which shows a young lord kissing the hand of the queen. It also indicates getting help from someone in a higher station. In this case, it may be you reaching out to a teacher or a spirit guide. And then we have the Hanged Man, and this pictures Odin hanging on Yggdrasil and receiving the runes. So we always have more work to do regarding the meditation. I would say you might want to revisit that more or allow it to come through to you on a deeper level, because I feel like Odin, there's more to be learned from what you just did, is the sense I'm getting here. So, and I suggest you be prepared uh to record your dreams in the morning or write them down, whatever works best for you. And for the next few days, I think you're going to get more information coming through your dreams. And you are welcome. Hi, Reverend Michael. Good to see you. All right. Does anybody else have any questions for me? Hi, Deb. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you. Let me get my friends shuffled here. My kind of picky, jealous friends. They literally hid my other tarot cards from me for a while, so I could only work with this deck. All right. Does anybody else have any questions for me? Okay. All right. So are you looking for, Deb says she has a job choice to make. Deb, are you looking for information about what choice to make? And Maza Diana, okay. I am not a medium as such. I can't bring the spirits of your loved ones through to talk to you. Sometimes uh my own family and friends come through to me in my sleep, but I am not a medium. Okay, Deb. I'm trying to think of what the best way to do a reading on what your outcome would be. Are you currently in one of these jobs? You work both now. Okay. Pick a job in your head and label it job A, and we're going to do a reading for what happens if you pick job A. Tell me when you picked it. Then we'll do a reading for job B. And for Maza Diana, I am reading tarot cards and getting sometimes messages from my spirit guides, but I don't consider that to be speaking with spirits. All right, so first three cards are, what is the outcome if you pick job A? All right. So our first card is the Ace of Lamps, which is the beginning. It's the beginning of a spiritual quest. Then we have the Six of Lamps. So this is a woman who has gone out into the jungle, done a vision quest until she has mastered her magic, her spiritual power. And finally, we have the Soul, which again is talking about mastering your own power. So that is job A. Okay, now we're going to take a look at what happens if you pick job B. Okay, job B. So, with job B, we have the Hanged Man popping up again tonight. So, this is again talking about a spiritual quest, in this case, making a sacrifice of some kind for spiritual knowledge. We have the Princess of Pentacles, and this represents generally a young woman of much refinement and power, but she tends to be a little overshadowed by other people's thoughts. And finally, we have the Nine of Swords. And this can represent, let's see if something I saw in this card here. And this is a woman who is experiencing a period of sadness and withdrawal. And Deb says, I've worked for A for 7 years and B for 5 years. So, you are dealing with some deeper spiritual issues here around both your jobs, Deb. Uh, I'm seeing that A appears to be more fortunate for you than B at this moment, but above all, you need to follow your own heart. On the other hand, if once you said A and B and then you made up your mind, once I started pulling cards, that's probably what you have to do. Mozzie Diana asked, how do I care for my cards? Well, I clear the energy after, oh dear. So you're being forced to pick by your husband's severe medical issues. I am sorry to hear that. I care for my cards by I clear the energy off them every time I read, and I keep all my decks in a box, their own box, or some sort of bag or other cover. Well, I hope my reading helped you, Dad. All right. And Misty asked, how is her current relationship going? Okay, Misty. Okay, the Hanged Man is back, folks. Third time tonight, and I am shuffling the deck thoroughly. So, again, this card is speaking about sacrifice in return for gaining something. Next, we have strength. Strength in the sense of you have the internal resources to handle the situation, no matter how rocky. And finally, I have the Ten of Wands, which indicates coming to an end of the cycle in a current situation. And I'm going to pull one more card, and I get Judgment, which also means finishing up something you've been working on for a long time. So I'm really getting the sense of something major ending here, Misty, and seeing a shift in your priorities, especially with Judgment coming up. It means you've had a whole lot of your focus on one project and you're wrapping it up, and now you have all this energy to focus on something else. So, but I'm also feeling like you asked about your relationship, and the cards are saying actually there's something deeper going on here. So I hope you find that helpful. And Cherry says, the hangman is talking to us all tonight. Yes, he is. Yes, the hanged man is talking to all of us tonight about being willing to make sacrifices or pour ourselves into our studies, or the idea that nothing worth having comes without striving for it. All those ideas are contained within the idea of the hanged man. Okay, does anybody else have any more questions for me tonight? Uh, well, Diana, I never said you were married. And no, no one has to touch the cards in order to do a reading. There is A long history of people doing phone readings and video readings, especially since the pandemic. And Deb, I'm glad the card is helping you, and I can certainly understand being mad about having to make such a sacrifice. You're certainly welcome, Cherry. I am always happy to do it. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right. If not, we will close out. Ed and Neil will be back tomorrow night on the Daily Spell with a report about everything they have been up to in Vegas. Reverend Don will be on at 1 Eastern, noon Central tomorrow, with midday with Reverend Don. And I will be on again with Witch Rising Sunday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central with my guest Pam Kelly. And we'll be talking about practical ways to get involved in activism. So once more, thank you everyone for joining me, and blessed be everyone.